everybody. Apologies for the state of me. I'm a bit like mentally and hot and horrible, you know what it says. So, I actually wanted to come on and talk about. Um, I saw a graphic the other day about PDA and control. The thing about the graphic that got me was the parent was stood in like a military uniform, and the child was obviously in front of them, and they were basically sat there saying, the parent was like, I'm in control, I'm the boss. And the child kept cutting in saying, no, you're not, I'm in control, I'm in control, and not letting the parent finish. And the reason why I wanted to bring it up was because I don't feel that's an appropriate narrative or an understanding of what it is that PDA and what people see as control and disobedience, basically. Because it's not that we need. It's not that we want to be in control. It's not that we want to be difficult. It's not that we want to be pains in the arses for people. To be quite honest with you, and it's interestingly because it is something that I have always, spoke to my husband about, because I've always felt like reality is I could come across as quite a horrible person because of how much control I need to feel safe. And luckily my husband's like, no, because I understand it and I get it. It's, you're not being horrible to me. You're not, it's just how it is and what you need to do to feel safe. And he understands that it's not just me being difficult. It's me just trying to get into a sense of, I feel safe, this is okay. And I can't control my brain. I can't tell my brain that everything's hunky-dory and fine if it doesn't feel that way. And that the appearance of control that comes across and that we appear to is a symptom. It's something we do in order to help our brains to feel, actually, it's okay, we are safe, we can do this. And other than brain surgery and completely rewiring our brains, that's not going to change. But I think it's sort of like misunderstood and how it's presented to people, because the way it's presented to people is that we're horrible and controlling, like these little kids are horrible and controlling and just need to learn how to do as they want, or we, to gain that control back off children, we need to put a sticker chart in place and, sticker it all out, or we need to put a routine in place, that'll soon do it. Not understanding that actually we need to give them and help them feel that control, to help them feel safe, so then their brain is not automatically jumping to that, I'm not safe in this situation, oh my god, I need to get out of it. And then we start seeing the trauma responses come out. We don't do it to feel, to make other people feel horrible and to make other people feel like we are full of ourselves and think that we know better than anybody else and that we need to be in control of everything and that kind of attitude, because that's not who, what, or what, why, or when we do those things. We do it to feel safe, and fundamentally, under everything is linked to PDAs that we do, all of the traits and everything you see is fundamentally due to not feeling safe. And whether it's that our wires our brains misfire in that area, or just on high alert, or whether there's a bit of rewiring done, whatever's caused us to feel at threat so easily and like we need to protect ourselves has given us that high level of anxiety in our brains, which we can't control. And I'd love to stop it. Honestly, I would love to stop it sometimes. I go through phases, and I feel sorry for my poor admins and my moderators in Thingy, because they get messages from me when my anxiety is really high about the fact that I'm failing everything and all of this kind of stuff. And I can't stop that cycle. And I go through that cycle constantly. I might have a week where I'm pretty good and everything's pretty chill. My anxiety's there, but I can manage it. But then I'll have a week, like I'm having this week ironically, where I just feel like my anxiety's uncontrollable, it's off the charts. Nothing's happened per se. There's not necessarily such a trigger. The trigger within me at this moment in time is actually hormonal. And I think that's the triggers, oops, that a lot of us struggle with. That's the triggers that a lot of parents struggle with, because they'll say there's not a trigger when the trigger's hormonal quite a lot of the time, when we don't see triggers, especially when we're going through them teenage years. And that is what it is with me right now, when my trigger's hormonal. Phil's got it to a T, when my hormones spark and drop and spark and drop, and he can see it and he can follow the pattern of the hormones triggering everything and making everything so much worse and so much harder for me to handle. But I can't stop it. You know what I mean? Because it's that natural system, isn't it? And that is a problem. I'd even go as far as saying sometimes, I'd even say sometimes that my brain's my own worst enemy. I don't need enemies with my brain, because of how it makes me feel and how it does. But fundamentally, everything that we do, how we react and how we are, is underpinned with that sense of safety. And I really think that that is probably the significant thing, the fundamental stone, the thing that we have to sort of solve and support in order to move PDAs on, to support PDAs to be able to manage, because that's what it is. And honestly, it can be a brutal cycle that we go through. Absolutely, being scared of everything, of your own shadow, going out of the house, all of that kind of stuff. It's exhausting, absolutely exhausting. And I think we forget that, especially when we look at kids. When we look at adults, we tend to accept difficulties a little bit more. I wouldn't say a little fully, but a little bit more than we do in kids. And we have more of an expectation for kids to go out and do more and push themselves than we do adults. And I think that is quite a lot of the time an issue as well. As kids, we are often brought up thinking that kids supposed to do as they're told, listen, not try and be in control at all. Although I don't like the word control, because it's such a negative and awful word when that's not really what we're looking at. But the way we're perceived in society often does make us look like a very abusive people, when reality is we're not. It's just that the words that are chosen are so wrong and do not really fully reflect who we are and what we do. And the thing is when you see us responding and acting as we do, it's understanding that we're doing it because we don't feel safe. So whatever you see on the outside is nothing compared to what's going on in his head. Nothing. And what you're seeing on the outside really is the fallout of us constantly fighting in our own heads, them battles. So yeah, I just wanted to come on and say that we really need to open our eyes up and understand, and try and think of alternative ways of expressing or wording things, but because I don't think it does us justice to constantly constantly state that we are just needing control and wanting to do what we want. And I really think, because of the perceived notion of demand avoidance, that in itself doesn't actually open up what PDA is and why. And I think it kind of is a negative. It kind of, the pathological demand avoidance, I think, actually draws a negative to what it is we feel, rather than helping and supporting and giving an idea of what it is. I think the PDA is just a small symptom of a bigger picture that's going on. And I think fundamentally what it is about us is about our high need for safety, or how we're so easily threatened, and how much our brains perceived threat. And I think that is fundamentally what is the underpinning all of what we call the traits of PDA. But the pathological demander side of it is a symptom of that. It's not necessarily what the cause is, if that makes sense. It's just a symptom. And there's many other symptoms that build up, and it all comes down to that threat, that fundamental feeling of safety within our brains. And I think if we start looking at it more around that rather than the demand avoidance, we'll start getting a more better understanding, and the support that we can offer of those around us with those difficulties would be a lot more neuro-friendly, would be a lot more, it would work a lot better, because right now all we see is these people for their symptoms, and that's what we need to work past, is stop seeing what the traits, the symptoms and the issue cause, and start seeing what the cause of it actually is. And that is, I think, fundamentally that part of our brain constantly feels that threat very easily, and our sense of safety is very difficult for us to feel. And I think that is what we need to start looking at going forward, to develop a bigger, greater understanding of what we call PDA. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'd love to know what your thoughts are. I find it really interesting, but I come from a place where I'm not trying to tell everybody I'm this massive professional and I know everyone's experience. I'm just talking about my personal experience, my experience of supporting my boys as well, and supporting and helping other people. I'm going to leave it there though, because it is really, really hot, and I just wanted to come and do a bit of a ranty video about that, and I can see I'm going a bit red and flushed and all that lot, but yeah. But hopefully this makes sense. But bye.